Let's keep her going.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yeah, what's happening, friends? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. Really do hope that, guys. How's it going? How are you? Good, I hope. Welcome back to Chelsea News, apparently 2 times a day at the moment here on the channel, because there's loads of stories breaking regarding Chelsea, the Blues, those cockney, or those swanky cockneys. Swanky cockneys. Right, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Chelsea News. We're referencing The Athletic today, the Daily Mail again, and just some general stuff. We might do a little bit of Michael Olise as well. Of course, ex-Chelsea, his brother's at Chelsea. Yeah, you know, you got people like Goldbridge talking about him going to Man United, and that's interesting. We're going to get into all of it today, so thank you for joining me. If you dig the content, if you like the news being brought to you, accompanied with my commentary and thoughts and opinions, and you like sharing your own in the comment section, then you should subscribe to this channel, Football Therapy, and join the fun. I guess we are road to 200k now. I think we're over 181,000 subscribers, which of course is a lot of subscribers, and you could be one of them. If you do choose to subscribe to this channel, make sure you hit the bell notifications icon so you know when I upload, mate. Alright, where to start? Well, Liam Twomey's written an article on Conor Gallagher and why Chelsea are so open to selling him. Further context, of course, you might be a little bit nosed by this constant recurring theme or recurring narrative about Conor Gallagher. But Twomey is a good article. He's a good journalist for The Athletic, and he should offer some good context. And it is a big story. Of course, Chelsea are looking to bring in superstars as well. Well, high-profile starters. Of course, we've got Tosin, who's completed his Chelsea medical. I imagine by now he's put pen to paper, but we will see. We're looking at Seshko and Olise, which we might talk about Olise a little bit towards the end. Yes, and Chelsea have blocked, Kieran Gill writes an exclusive for the Mail, Chelsea have blocked Enzo Fernandez and Mudryk from representing their countries at the Olympic Games. Actually, let's start with that, shall we? And then we can move on to Gallagher and transfers. Kieran Gill writes, Chelsea have officially blocked Enzo Fernandez and Michailo Mudryk from representing Argentina and Ukraine respectively for the upcoming Olympic Games to prevent the pair from missing crucial pre-season preparations under their new head coach Enzo Maresca. The Premier League want Maresca to go into next season with a fully fit squad to choose from, having seen how their last campaign was plagued by injuries from start to finish, and even before the start, of course, if you consider the likes of Nkunku. Both Fernandez and Mudryk are already set to compete in tournaments for their countries, of course Argentina in the Copa America and Ukraine at Euro 2024. Chelsea are reluctant to take risks this summer, and they are not alone in exercising their right to refuse the release of their players. Manchester United with Garnacho, Real Madrid with Kylian Mbappe, that's unsurprising, is also unlikely to compete in the Olympics in his hometown country of Paris. But look at the Parisian squad. Of course Mbappe's not going there. And of course Benoit Badiashile and Malo Gusto are likewise not going to go to the Olympics. Of course, Leslie Ugochukwu has been allowed to go. I believe that's the only Chelsea player that I know of that's been allowed, sanctioned to go. Firstly, yes, they're massive investments, both of them, Mudryk and Enzo. I understand why Enzo Fernandez is being blocked, because he could be such an important player for Enzo Maresca, and Enzo for Enzo, and they obviously will need time to get that in. So I understand. Mudryk's an interesting one. I kind of look at Mudryk like, if he has a chance to go and like achieve greatness with Ukraine, I think that's kind of like, he's a sort of kind of a unique case in many ways. Hold on, I need a burp, so I'm going to record. I'm not going to record me burping, I'm going to pause. And I'm back. A little bit of gastric honesty from me there. Yeah, like Mudryk, man. Like Ukraine, obviously, all the horrific stuff that's going on in their home country. It's an escape for them, the football. And he's a bit of an icon playing for Ukraine. And of course, his confidence hasn't always been sky high in a Chelsea shirt. So it's an opportunity for him, as not the most integral player in Chelsea, to go and build confidence and have experiences as in football at a high level. Yeah, but we know what we know about Enzo Maresca. He loves wingers. Very, very important. He will always play with wingers in a front three and largely conventional wingers. That's why a lot of people are thinking Cole Palmer might play in the midfield as this kind of attacking 8-10 hybrid that you see in Maresca's football, which would be very interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, he loves a winger. And Mudryk, I know he's like a sort of inside counter-attacking transitional forward, but he's still a winger. He plays on the left wing. He's a left winger. Noni Madueke, really good looking, but maybe, you know, Olise. This is why we're looking at Olise, because Olise is I know he can play as a number 10. He's kind of like Cole Palmer, right wing number 10, Olise, but yeah, look how Olise operates as a right winger. He's devastating. Interesting as well, many of you may have seen John Obi Mikel on his podcast absolutely laying into Mudryk. He's not having him at all. He does say, to his credit, he's got loads of potential, this pace and this power, but he says, like, you know, he went proper old school, like he went proper football man, English man, like, sort your hair out. He needs to get rid of the hair, get rid of the tattoos. And I was thinking, as a man who is riddled in tattoos myself, no, I haven't got one on that shoulder. Top to bottom, I'm riddled in tattoos. They're hard to wash off. I'll tell you, John Obi, it's tough. It's tough to get rid of them, unless of course you get lasered. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a harsh criticism for Mudryk, because it's not like he's out partying, being like a party guy or a playboy. He's really religious. He's God-fearing, and I don't think his lifestyle or his interest in his appearance is affecting his football negatively at all. Anyway, Enzo, I don't think he'll be too annoyed, nearly swore, annoyed or upset that he'll be missing the Olympics. Excuse me, he's won the World Cup with Argentina. He's going to play in the Copa America. He's got a new manager. He'll survive not going to the Olympics. And similarly, so will Misha. Let's move on. Right, Toomey writes on The Athletic, the transfer window is reopening in a matter of days, which can only mean one thing. Conor Gallagher's future at Chelsea is a hot topic again. Earlier this week, The Athletic reported Villa have opened talks with Chelsea and Gallagher's representatives over a possible summer move with their manager, Unai Emery, a huge admirer of the 24-year-old and keen to bolster his midfield options ahead of the Champions League campaign. Yeah, it will be alluring. Good manager in Unai, good players at Villa, and a good competition in the Champions League. It may come as a surprise that Chelsea are open to selling the Cobham Academy graduate who frequently captained Pochettino's team on the pitch last season and led the entire first-team squad in minutes played across all competitions. But it's a complex situation, with several factors at play and a number of outcomes still possible. I've spoken about this ad nauseum. You'll know my position. I'll reiterate it quickly. I love Gallagher. I think I'd like him to stay, but possibly not as a starter. To start some games, to probably always feature in every game, maybe off the bench as a different dynamic. But I can understand how maybe he's not like, you don't build the team around him and, you know, maybe he's up for sale because he's just the kind of player who he is, you know. So, why are Chelsea open to selling Gallagher? There are two elements to this, Gallagher the player and Gallagher the asset. One has had the best season of his career at Chelsea, entrenching himself in the affections of the match-going supporters and consolidating his place in the England squad. The other has 12 months left on his contract to run, and there's a growing list of suitors across the Premier League, and indeed in Europe, as we know with Milan and Monaco. Two Champions League clubs, lest we forget. One of the many reasons why Gallagher's deal has run down to this point is that much of the past 2 years, Chelsea's sporting leadership and ownership have not been convinced that he should be integral to their long-term midfield plans. It is why they were prepared to accept a £45 million offer from Everton January last year. That's a lot from Everton, and they're supposed to have money problems. And why West Ham and Tottenham were emboldened to express serious interest the following summer. It's also why Chelsea have spent north of £300 million on midfielders in the past 18 months. headlined by 9-figure transfer fees paid for Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, and of course even like Romeo Lavia, 57 million quid or something. Serious money, like serious P's they've gone for those kind of profile of midfielders. Gallagher did everything he could to challenge that thinking, with an excellent campaign, of course, improving significantly in many areas of his game. But if Chelsea do not believe that progress merits a new contract on significantly improved terms, this summer is the last realistic opportunity to secure some real value in a sale. I guess we could try and sell him in January, but yeah, you wouldn't get much for him, would you? That value would need to be in excess... See, this is wild. We read about this earlier in an article. It would need to be in excess of £50 million for Chelsea, for the Chelsea starter and current England international, who's only just turned 24 in February. He's still improving. He's trending upwards. I get it in terms of isolation, but for 12 months left on his deal. Do they need to sell Gallagher or homegrown players to comply with financial fair play rules? Well, Chelsea insist that they are to comply with the current financial year 23-24 without actually making any further player sales before the accounting deadline of June the 30th, though there is considerable scepticism among football finance analysts from outside Stamford Bridge and how they can hope to achieve that. A controversial £76.5 million deal, of course, to sell the 2 hotels outside the stadium to another subsidiary company of Chelsea's ownership group was decisive in the club squeezing under the £105 million allowable loss for the previous campaign. That's 22-23. Selling the hotels let us squeeze in and not get, punished, essentially. That transaction is still awaiting a sign-off from the Premier League, but does underline that Clearlake Capital and Todd Bowley are prepared to get creative to ensure future PSR compliance. Not to go all Barcelona-y here, but you can imagine that maybe Chelsea and Clearlake have got other levers to pull. God, I hate the term financial lever. Chelsea's qualification for the Conference League also means they are subject to the UEFA rules, the UEFA financial fair play. Speculation that we were going to try and not be in the Conference League, to not be subject to those rules. Of course, there's... yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I won't bore you with the next sort of part with that. It talks about it does not necessarily need to be Gallagher who leaves. Chelsea guaranteed £28 million for Lewis Hall, while the proceeds of Mason Mount's transfer to United last summer will go on this year's account. So yeah, that's really important actually. And of course, we also banked £11 to £14 million from add-on clauses from transfer deals last season, which is a lovely little bonus, you must say. They could generate £35 million by selling Martin, while Amanda Bria and Trevor Chalobah could raise more than £50 million combined. These are all pure profit assets, lest we forget as well. This is like free money on the books as well. Amari Hutchison could also command a sizable fee after he's obviously loads of clubs want him. Ipswich want to buy him. Stuttgart Champions League club want to buy him. Chelsea are like in a healthy space really in terms of sellable assets altogether. So how does this affect Gallagher's thinking about his future? So this is interesting. How does the player think? Well, Gallagher is an extremely strong person. His stock has never been higher, and he can expect a large pay rise in his next contract, whether that's at Chelsea or elsewhere. He does love Chelsea, but he's a professional footballer with ambitions, boys, girls, ladies and gents. And in an ideal world, I imagine he'd prefer to do that at Chelsea, but I imagine he will have no issue taking money elsewhere. That's my take on that. He's a well-documented Chelsea fan, writes to me. His preference to remains at Chelsea as it always has been. He wants a long and successful career with his boyhood club. He's not agitated to leave at any point, despite being on not great wages, and cannot be sold against his wishes. One of the few things he can't control is whether he's offered a new deal that reflects his own sense of value to the team and to the club. And that kind of goes back to the sporting directors not necessarily rating him long-term as a midfield profile. But if Villa or another interested club present an offer that satisfies Chelsea, Gallagher will have a real decision to make. He will play as often, or will he play as often or as well for incoming head coach Enzo Maresca as he did last season for Pochettino in what is likely to be a very tactical different system? There is no guarantee next season will be as individually rewarding as this campaign has just finished to be? Well, we've already spoken about this. Of course, you don't. This is not an opinion. This is fact. Conor Gallagher's profile as a midfielder suits Pochettino much more than it does Enzo Maresca. So that's something Gallagher will be considering because he's a smart guy. He'll be thinking about this. Within that context, going into the final year of his contract at Stamford Bridge, would it be a greater risk for Gallagher to take? And would do so with no assurance that that contract from offer with Chelsea will be forthcoming before he hits free agency in the summer of 2025? As with any Chelsea player, he needs to do what he feels is best for his career. So, you know, people will think, oh, just run down your contract, stay at your boyhood club, see how it goes. If they don't give you a new contract, go for a free and get a big sign-on fee at your new club. But at the same time, like Twomey sort of is suggesting here, his stock is incredibly high at the moment. And if he goes a whole season next season not really playing, because Gallagher's one of those players that needs to keep playing. He needs to keep hot, do you know what I mean? He needs to keep the engine warm and looks good. You know, if Maresca keeps him cold and he comes off the bench every now and again and tries to do this tenacious play style, maybe he mistimes tackles or, you know, whatever, like, you feel like he needs to just be playing Gallagher and he can just constantly play it. So maybe there's a risk for his own, like, stock in the game. Like, if he doesn't play next season, suddenly less clubs are interested in him, maybe not Champions League clubs like they are at the moment. You know, he does need to make a decision. Transfer speculation also presents an unwelcome distraction as Gallagher, of course, is going to the Euros. Yeah. He talks about Tottenham here, and finally, is a new contract possibility at Chelsea. Absolutely. This is not a Mason Mount situation where bitterness and acrimony took hold on all sides and parting began to feel inevitable months before it finally happened. Chelsea co-sporting directors Stuart and Winstanley have maintained a dialogue with Gallagher's representatives throughout the past 18 months, and there is no sense of bad blood. That's good to hear. His unerring professionalism is greatly appreciated, and he's a popular figure around the Cobham training ground as well as Stamford Bridge. And you could tell as well, like the media, not even because, like, you know, the great work at We Are the Shed when they do the crowd surfers and the banners. I don't think they feel pressured because of that, because obviously Mount had all of that. I feel like they just really respect his professionalism, and he's constantly being put up to do media for Chelsea, and they're doing loads of stuff with him. So they're clearly, like, very happy with him generally in that sense. If he sold this summer, it will not be cheaply, and if offers do not materialise at the level Chelsea would like, it will not be a shock if the talks over a new contract will begin to gather pace. And I wonder, actually, what they might do is, Chelsea, is they might find a compromise in giving him, like, fine, you're not going to get signed a Project 2030 contract till, like, you know, 2030 or whatever it is, like, I suppose, because he's 26 now, so yeah, maybe 2030 or whatever. Sign a 2+1. Sign a 2+1, a little bit more money. They maybe will give you 120k a week, not the 150 you want. And look, we'll try with bonuses. Like, if you top 4 Premier League, you get more money. And look, if you want to go, if we want to sell you, we'll find a way to sell you, and you've got, you know, some money coming in still. I wonder if there's, like, an adult way they can get around the table and all just agree and shake hands in that sense, where they don't take him for a ride, they respect his position, and he doesn't take Chelsea for a ride. He's a Chelsea fan. So yes, that's where we're at right now with Conor Gallagher. Oh, I've got mega hay fever today. I don't know why. It's not like been hot and windy or anything. It's been kind of miserable in the UK. But I've got, like, puffy eyes and I've been sneezing all day. Hay fever, bro. Yes, I do want to do a little bit on Michael Olise. Of course, we're looking at Šeško, the striker, the Leipzig striker. There's a freeway shootout between Arsenal, Chelsea, I think Man United as well as staying at Leipzig. But Olise, they're talking about United and Chelsea is like the, you know, the two clubs fighting over Michael Olise. I watched a clip of Mark Goldbridge in the United stand, and I've got nothing against Mark Goldbridge. I've got a lot of respect for him as a content creator. I do genuinely think he's probably quite just a decent guy that just looks after his family and just talks about football. I think there is an for a guy who doesn't use his real name, I think there is an authenticity to him. But my word, he can chat some breeze, can't he? Like when he was talking about, like, Chelsea's structure, like, I saw someone quote tweeting how he talking about how Chelsea just copy and paste everyone. Actually, Chelsea have got one of the most assertive, whether you agree with it or not, by the way, is a completely different story, but Chelsea have a plan, a very specific and assertive plan that they've been implementing for a long time, and Ineos are coming in to do the exact same thing. So Man United are almost copying Chelsea in this sense, and when he said about, oh, they're going for Olise, they're copying Man United. We were negotiating for Olise last summer and he nearly joined, as an ex-Chelsea academy player. So I don't know why I get wound up by content creators, but I feel like because then he says, you don't need Olise. You've got Noni Madueke that you spent nearly 60 million on. And I was thinking, right, why am I getting wound up by this guy when he's just really, asserting himself, just nonsense? Because, of course, we spent less than half of that on Noni Madueke. Anyway, as more of an investment portfolio player than perhaps a nailed-on starter. Still, it is a big tug of war between Man United and Chelsea for Olise. I understand why he might be allured by Man United. He'll get a lot of money. If Ten Hag stays, they will not utilise Jadon Sancho, and Antony is not good. So there is very much a vacancy on their right wing spot. I think he could do bits for Man United. I genuinely do. I feel like if they carry on playing transitional football, he's really good at transitional football. Olise, running the other way with the ball, breaking on the right-hand side. And to be fair, to have I do rate Højlund, Rasmus Højlund. I think there's a player in there to be found. I think he dropped off a little bit, but I feel like I don't think Ten Hag's the guy to get out of him, but I think there is a player there to be brought out by a manager. But that front three, that budding, developing front three of Garnacho, Højlund, and potentially Olise would be pretty devastating in terms of potential power. And obviously, Olise is not potential; he's proven at this level. Yeah, we've spoken about this, haven't we, guys? He's a left-footer, a right-sided player, of which we will have so many on the books, especially come 2025 when Esteban Willian joins. And there's a lot. But at the same time, if you can sign Olise and just put him in your lineup, Noni has to hold the bench, and Noni can be the midweek striker for the cups and for the Conference League, and come off the bench in the Premier League. And Olise is your guy. Olise is your right winger, and then whoever your left winger. I still think Sterling's a really interesting one under Maresca. I'm probably gonna. I said that early doors. I'm probably gonna catch a lot of heat for that, but I do think that sort of Man City style of play might suit him. And then Cole Palmer as one of these number 8s that sort of go into the 10 positions in possession. Could be really interesting there. Yes, Olise, £60 million buyout clause, I think, for the player you're getting. It's fine. It's totally fine, I'd say, in this current market. And I'd be quite into it if we can hijack Man United. Hijack the tune for Tosin. Nice alliteration. And then Olise from United. That would be nice. And Seshko from Arsenal. Hat-trick. Eh? Great stuff. I'll leave it to you guys now. Of course, please do leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Apparently, there's 2 videos a day at the moment. So much content for you guys to enjoy. So please do subscribe and hit the bell. All right, friends. I'm out. Peace.